Hey everyone, I'm Danielle from Douglas Realty, and I want to welcome you to this week's episode of Real Estate Matters. Right now, the conversations around real estate are loud. Big headlines, strong opinions, but not a lot of clarity for the consumer or the agent. That's exactly why we started this show to cut through the noise and talk about what's really happening in the market, what buyers and sellers need to know, and how agents can win in a changing environment. Each episode is real and raw, just honest conversations and open insight from two industry experts who are in it every single day and are committed to sharing what's actually going on. So if you're ready to learn something new, let's get started.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Real Estate Matters with broker Doug and Greg. It's our second episode, and we're going to be talking a little bit about there's more than one way to build a business for real estate agents. And obviously, that's super important, right? When you get your real estate license, one of the main things you need to figure out is lead generation and how to fill up your sales pipeline. We always talk about how the agent is me incorporated, independent contractor, but kind of where the rubber meets the road is what training and resources you're given and advice you're given, whether it's through a Summits to Success program like we have, mentorship. But we're here with Doug today, so maybe he can fill us in on some insights on what he sees on how agents grow their business. But also wanted to add, it's the timing is just right for this because in July we're launching our Reactivate 2026, which is our business building platform for agents here. It's expanded this year, and it culminates in October, November with our business planning series and strategic action planning. So this is a great time to talk about that. We're launching our Reactivate coaching cohort with Jim Crowder Coaching. And congratulations, Doug. Doug was selected by RAS Media to be a part of the Leadership Exchange in September. And I believe we're going to be talking about this very same subject.
I believe we are. Yeah.
Now, so with no further ado, Doug, what do you see? What advice do you give new agents in the business? And, I think a lot of agents kind of come in. This is the one place where they don't get any prior instructions, right? This
Right.
isn't like HGTV. It has nothing to do with pre-licensing, test, exam. This is a whole different animal.
It is, and I think you have to look at many different ways, right? You have a brand new agent coming into the industry, just passed the exam, they're getting their license. Now they need to get the proper training. I think that's step number one. They need to look for the proper training. They need to make sure they have whatever brokerage they join, that there's actually a structured training program for them.
Yep.
You mentioned Summits to Success. That's ours here at Douglas Realty. That's an in-person classroom type training, plus there's field training that goes with that, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's number one. They need to look as a brand new agent. I think the other thing is we have a lot of agents that have been in business for many years now. And a lot of those agents started around COVID. They went and got their license around COVID time, and then
Yeah.
they came out of COVID. And we had that kind of anomaly where we had this insane market where things just went crazy.
Yeah.
So a lot of agents right now don't understand the pre-COVID market as we talk about it, right? So I think a lot of what we'll maybe talk about today is what we always say, get back to the basics, but we're going to dig into that just a little bit,
Yeah.
and take a deeper dive there. I think we're in a current market today where we do absolutely have to fall back to some of those basics and things like that to have great success.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think as long as I've been in this business, there's always peaks and valleys and troughs. And like you said, the COVID market, we were order takers more than anything. It was just a frenetic market.
Yeah.
But it never fails that like whenever and we've been in like a housing recession for a few years now, right? It's been a little bit, hard sledding. But whenever it gets to this point, all the industry leaders, all the trainers tell you get back to the basics because it's tried and true, proven systems work. So yeah, let's take a little bit of a deep dive into that. And really just wanted to piggyback on that. The industry as a whole, we have a terrible attrition rate, right? Agents get into the business and they fall out of the business because they don't have the proper training. Nowhere along the lines between, hey, I think I want to get my real estate license to, let me sign up for the pre-licensing classes. Did anyone really take a deep dive or tell them about how important it was to generate business and fill up that sales pipeline, right? Being a salesperson is a separate skill set, and being able to lead generate, it's its own animal. So what kind of recommendations do you do? Because I know one size doesn't fit all, right?
No,
we,
it doesn't.
we had call night here last night at the brokerage, which is unbelievable, great. We had an agent here who's brand new, part of the Summits to Success program, was killing it on the phones. And that's great. And I think everyone needs to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We talk about that a lot. But, one size doesn't fit all when it comes to lead generation.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, that's spot on. One size doesn't fit all. Like some people, I don't know that anybody's ever comfortable doing cold calls, but
Few-
some
a
are
f-
more comfortable than others.
a
We'll
few-
say
yeah.
it that way.
A few psychopaths out there are comfortable.
Yeah. Well, Stephen did really good last night,
yeah, he
but
was awesome.
some kudos to Stephen if you're watching this. But
Yeah.
anyway, no, I think you have to look at what you're comfortable with. But I think part of sales in general is getting out of your comfort zone. I think probably the biggest thing that I'll tie this back to is systems and consistency. No matter what you decide to do from lead generation, we're going to talk a little bit about Sphere also. That should be your primary. But I think the most important piece that the majority of agents are actually missing is good systems, and then even just as important, if not maybe a little bit more, is the consistency behind that, right? So, one size doesn't fit all, but yeah, I mean, we're going to have cold calling, we're going to have working our spheres, we're going to have farming, there's going to have a lot of different angles, and many of these you got to put together to have a successful career.
Yeah, for sure. I remember one of my I guess mentors back in the day, Joe Maneri. A lot of you guys know Joe Maneri. We would always say you got to have like 5 plates spinning in the air at all times, which is true, but you also have to be careful. You can't be doing everything at once, right? You have to
Right.
have a few things that you're focused on. To your point, consistency is key. I
Yeah.
think it's got to be like, that's probably the prevailing number one thing, right? Just be consistent, time on task over time. And when you say systems, I'll just piggyback on that a little bit and talk about like time blocking. Be disciplined with your time.
Yeah.
That's part of tying in with consistency and systems together. Like my calendar is my best friend. But I think if you're right, if you can identify a few of those different lanes that you're going to use for lead generation, implement systems around them, and be consistent with it, that's the key.
Yeah.
And I know I was talking to an agent earlier. We kind of sort of live in this sort of fast food society where we want immediate return on investment, but that's the rub too. It takes time, right? You have
does.
to do these things for a little bit. We have a saying in real estate, like whatever you do today, pays off in 3 months.
Mhm.
So you have to build in that lead gen time.
I just want to jump in and piggyback. He mentioned calendar, and I think if I had to suggest anything to a brand new agent or an existing agent that's been licensed for many years now that maybe is struggling right now, I'd say look back to your calendar, right? And one of the classes that I teach, or part of a class that I teach in the Summits to Success mentorship program, is about building your perfect week. And having the perfect week figured out. So we actually take our students through basically a fake version of that calendar and what that might look like. And we put them through that process of, okay, sit down and look at next week and say, okay, what doctor's appointments do you have? What kid appointments do you have? What other appointments outside of business and real estate do you have? Get all that on the calendar. And then look for those free moments, because you're going to find real quick that you have no free moments in a week. So you have to your point, time block. It is so crucial. You need time blocking for lead generation, prospecting, follow up, all of these things. And by the way, all three of those are different, right? And they mean something different. So if it's not in your calendar, it's probably not going to happen. At least consistency.
Yeah. Yep. Very true. And to your point, like we get inundated by like these gnats and the 4 disciplines of execution that business says. It's not like the big dragon that we have to slay every day. That's our problem. It's all these like gnats that come at us, social media, all these other things, these little life events. So if you're not time blocking and protecting that time block, it won't get done.
Right.
Yeah, we'll put that
Never.
off. You won't do those hard things. And that's the discipline, where the discipline shows up. It's like if you're training for a marathon, you have to put in the road work. And if you're not disciplined about putting in the road work, the results won't show up. So we say, if you focus on, the process, the results will show up.
Yeah.
And that's the secret of the process, is your perfect week, or what your calendar looks like. And I know you and I have talked about, if an agent comes to us and they're struggling with business, we'll say, let's see your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is always in the calendar.
Yeah.
So
Always.
Yeah.
Always there.
so that's our first thing, is time blocking, consistency. And I know when agents start out, I like to tell them, look, let's get your sphere of influence. A lot of new agents who don't have sales backgrounds, those are all sort of new terminology to them. The database may sound a little bit foreign, but that really is your sphere of influence, the database of people you know. And if you say you don't have a database, you've got one in here. If you can identify those people in your phone, your sphere of influence, and at least start getting them on a spreadsheet to start before you start implementing your CRMs, your customer relationship management platform. But that's a great place to start, right? Your sphere of
It
influence.
is, and again, I'm going to keep going back to the mentorship program because these are all the things that we teach those new agents. But again, this is about existing agents. Like I
Mhm.
know it's not easy out there right now, so I think taking time. You maybe did this years ago. Take time to update that list if you've already have one. If you don't have one, get one. You should have your top 50, and it's interesting when we go through this process because it should the other thing is it shouldn't be a quick easy process.
Right.
If you truly want to get your top 50 in your sphere, that's going to be a multi-hour, maybe multi-day process where you do a little bit today and then tomorrow we come back to it because new ideas are going to come about. But I was talking to one of the students about a week or so ago, and I shared with them, I'm not practicing real estate in the market in a sense, right? Just a broker, so I'm not out selling homes in a sense, But one of the things I talked about was I was going to PT therapy, and just in casual conversation, and that therapist turned into a client of ours here at Douglas Realty and Coastline Mortgage, by the way,
Yeah.
and Admiral Title too. So all three. So a huge win, and I didn't push the sale or anything like that. It was just general conversation. But my point there is your top 50 might not be your closest friends and family. It could be outside of that. So look to people that you interact with on a maybe a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You go to the car wash all the time and you're waiting to get your car washed. Maybe that person should be in that top 50, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, your dry cleaners, your nail techs, your hairstylists, whatever your barber.
You don't have that
No,
problem, do you?
But anyway, yeah, I think that's great advice. And dig deep on those relationships too, the people you do know, because the intel is where the information. We're in a data collection era. That's where all these big companies are collecting data, but that's so valuable. Like birthdays, anniversary dates, handwritten notes go a long way.
Oh, yeah.
I met with a new agent this morning, talked about some of the things that going back to the basics,
Yep.
find out who in your sphere of influence and what their birthdays is. Write them a simple little happy birthday card or a note card, a little thank you note of appreciation for something that was done. It, the return on investment on something like that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to build relationship equity in those relationships in your sphere of influence. To Doug's point, look outside of who your close family and friends are, past colleagues, and people that you interact and do business with. I think business to business relationships are one of the best ones out there because if you're able to feed someone else's business, they're going to, through that sort of law of reciprocity, feel the need to give back to you too.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Those are great relationships. I think it begins and ends with relationships. We're in a relationship business, so start there. Ask for referrals. Don't be afraid of that. Obviously, if you're an existing agent, past clients, we talk a lot about. We're putting together a program for Transaction Plus, transaction coordination.
Mhm.
A big part of that new program is post-close follow-up.
Yeah.
To keep the agents top of mind for the past clients. Can't tell you how many times we hear from people, they love the experience they had with agents, right? Despite what you might hear in the news or whatever. I think like it's in the 80 percentile range where people would use their agent again. However, fast forward 5 years down the road, they couldn't name their agent.
Right.
So
And
whose fault is that?
that's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And that's the agent's fault for not having a post-close follow-up system or a database where they can kind of mine those relationships that they've had. And that's going to be your low-lying fruit, past clients that already love you.
Yeah. And I'm trying to do this myself. It's really hard because we're so used to saying past clients.
Right.
I
They're
think the
still
reality
clients.
is they're still clients. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still clients. So I did a video not too long ago, just one of my Monday Musing videos, and I talked about that, and I'm like, why do we call them past clients?
Yeah.
We always have in this industry, but I think it's a mindset
Yep.
change that we all have to go through, including myself. When I did my video, I found that I actually said past client like 2 or 3 times.
Well, yeah, guilty as charged. I'm glad you called me out on that because I'm against that term and I use it all the time.
I think it's just habit,
Yeah.
right? But I think it's a current client, past transaction is how we have to start
Yes.
thinking about them.
Yeah.
But it's also doing the things that you're talking about, and that is once that transaction's done, most agents are moving on to the next shiny object, hopefully a transaction, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
and that's just the nature of the beast of the industry, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's so much business to be had with those clients that we already have, like we have to do whatever we can to stay in touch with them.
Yeah.
And your comment about like that handwritten note, that ties into those kind of things, right?
Right.
You know when they bought their house,
Yeah.
house anniversary, or
Yeah.
whatever they call it. I don't even know what they
It
call
is.
it.
Yeah. I got a whole stack of house anniversary cards and I send
Yeah.
them out. And I just sent a past client, a younger girl who bought with me last year, her first anniversary. And I sent her like the text with, I created a little thing in ChatGPT about it,
Yeah.
personalized it to her and sent it to her. But she was ecstatic about
Yeah.
it. And she started telling me about the dog park and everything else. And I was like, cool, perfect.
Life is good.
Life is
Yeah,
good.
she remembers you.
Yeah. And then going back to your point about, and we do get busy, right? And I don't fault the agents for not thinking about it. And part of our Transaction Plus system is hopefully we'll have systems implemented. So to your point, we're going to operate almost as like a one-off, I don't want to say property management company for that house that they buy, but we're going to be sending reminders and updates about maintenance and all kinds of things. And for years to come, but agents get busy. So the more you can systematize that follow up, the better off you're going to be.
Oh, 100%.
So we're all
yeah.
human. We're never going to remember everything. We have to have systems in place that help keep us accountable. And the more you can set it and forget it, the better off.
Oh, absolutely. So the industry is known for the roller coaster ride, right? And when we talk about agents building a true business versus agents just working in the business, and most are working in the business, and they're literally on this roller coaster ride. And you said ups and downs. That's what we're talking about. And we get a transaction or maybe a couple of transactions that are all going at the same time, and we're hyper focused, blinders are on, and that's all we're seeing. And that goes on for a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And then all of a sudden the industry dips and now we have no business for a month or two. And it's because we didn't systematize things.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, you wake up unemployed.
Yeah.
Well, we basically wake up unemployed every day in this business.
We do.
So we got to make sure we have those systems in place. But especially if you're a newer agent, guard against that because you get so excited. You got your first deal or two, and you get so excited. You're like, oh, I got these home inspections going on, or I got this and that going on. And you forget to do the things that got you the business in the first place. So make sure that's on your calendar.
I was going to say that's your calendar.
Yep.
Calendar, time block, set it up. Once you figure out what your perfect week looks like, then repeat that every single week. Just put it in there moving forward. It's a future event, right?
Yeah. Here. So let's move on because I know we're big on it here. We do a great job. Kiara does a great job here of promoting our open houses weekly for us. How about open houses? What do you see in open houses?
I love, huge opportunity. Again, I'm going to go back to mentorship because the neat thing is we're teaching all these new licensees what everybody should be doing, right? So that's why I keep coming back to that. But I think open houses is one of the best ways to build your business today. And here's the thing. I talked to some veteran agents and they're like, I've tried open houses, nobody showed up, and it's a waste of 2 or 3 hours. And my mind just, I shake my head and I say, sit down, let's have a conversation. The reality is an open house creates anywhere from, depending on how much you want to do, anywhere from like 7 to 14 different opportunities in 1 week to show your sphere that you're doing real estate activities.
Yeah.
And what's the number one way to build trust with your sphere? Show them you're doing real estate activities. Talk about that a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, they have to make sure that they think you're competent in what you're doing. And perception is reality, right? We can make no bones about it. Some of the agents that do the open house, it's not necessarily their listing. No one has to know that.
Yep.
You do the open house. To your point, it's a marketing lever. It's not necessarily about, I tell the agents, it's not necessarily about the deals that come through the door. That's the cherry on top.
Yeah.
It's the opportunity to market yourself in the market space across your social media channels and your database. If you do an open house every month for 12 months and you're consistent about, to your point, putting out their video about what you're doing, your social media channels, emailing your database, hey, I'm doing an open house, Saturday, 1 to 3, 123 Main Street. If you know anybody that's interested, come see me in an email. If you do that consistency for 12 months, all they see is you're super busy.
Yep.
And people like to work with people who are super busy because they think they're successful.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's that perception. You're in you have to market yourself. You have to brand yourself. That's part of the market.
Yep.
And it also just makes you a better agent. The more you do,
it does.
The more you're out there talking to people coming through the door, it just builds more and more confidence.
Yeah.
So I think you're, like, to your point, you win across so many different levels when you do open houses. I'm a big fan and proponent of that. Build that into your business plan if you
I
can.
think it's the number one thing out there right now. Like, there's a couple different areas we could attack social media, obviously, but this ties into social media, right?
Yeah.
It ties into property tours, which I'd like to touch on that in a minute or two about YouTube and property tours, because I think that's another area that we're not tapping into as an industry,
Yeah.
or as much as we should. But to Greg's point, it doesn't need to be your listing. It can be anybody at your brokerage. It does need to be at your brokerage, right? At Douglas Realty, at any given day, we have 200 plus listings floating out there.
Yeah.
So call a listing agent and say, hey, can I host an open house? And then put your plan together. Again, planning is
Yes.
what it's all about. You need a complete plan. Figure out what that open house plan looks like for you. Not everybody's going to have 14 different actions or touch points. They might have 7. You should have at least 7, in my opinion.
Yeah. Danielle and I collaborated on an open house class. We put together a really robust, informative class on how to maximize those open houses opportunities. So
Yeah.
if you're within the brokerage, please take advantage of that. And we do that, and we open it up to agents across all brokerages. So if you see us doing that class, please do take advantage of it and show up.
Yes.
And to your point, it's multiple touch points, 7 touch points, and agents that don't get any results, and I find out what they did for it. They didn't do anything. They just showed up and waited for people to come in. That's like doing like geographic farming and sending out one letter to your farm and not doing anything after that.
You're done.
Save your money. Yeah,
It's a waste
don't
of
do it.
time and energy.
It's a waste of time and energy. So, moving on to that, we'll click off geographic farming since we just touched on it real quick. But that's another one. If you're going to do it, start small, grow into it. Especially you have to lead with revenue, right? You don't bite off more than you can chew. Make sure you're taking a neighborhood that you can manage doing mailings to every month, or at the minimum every other month. But you have to have a year-long plan in place, right? Or don't start, because
Right.
you're just going to be wasting your money.
Yep, 100%.
But that's one of those things, again, time on task over time, consistency.
And the cool thing about those kind of things, like figure out your budget, like you said, like if you can mail just 100 postcards
Yeah.
every month, fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. But do that for 12 months, you're going to get something out of it,
Yeah.
guaranteed.
100%.
Yeah.
You'll probably see a theme across this conversation: consistency.
Yeah.
The same thing. Open houses, be consistent about it. Geographic farming, being consistent about it. With your sphere of influence and database, we can tie into now social media, because that's low-lying fruit and that's cost-effective. Be consistent about it.
Yeah.
You can't do a post every other month on social media and people think
No.
that you're taking you serious. Like it or not, social media, it's a part of our business. Image is a part of our business. Brand, your brand. You can get away with it. Like some agents can get away with not doing social media, but they got other lead generation systems that work well
They
for
do,
them.
yeah.
But if you're struggling to build your business and grow your business, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, social media, like, and believe me, I try myself. It's not easy. Like I try to post every day. In my opinion, we should be doing at least 4 or 5 posts a day. There's a lot of different opinions out there on what that should be. There's some people like Gary Vee that say you should be doing 30 a day. I don't know that anybody but him is capable of that, but maybe Tom Ferry, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the reality is you have to be consistent, especially social media and the algorithms. Like we're not going to get complicated into that today, but if you're not consistent there, you are completely
Yeah.
wasting your time.
Yeah. And this is where it can get fun. I say lead generation can get fun, especially because get creative, think outside the box, think about business to business, feature a coffee shop, feature a business in your neighborhood or the community that you want to work in, once a week, and go out and interview the owner or their manager.
Yeah.
And again, through law of reciprocity, you tie into you can tag their business, then all their business patrons see what you're doing. You're bringing value to them. In turn, they and their clients will want to bring value to you.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Just think outside the box. We have a couple agents here. Danielle and Gabriella do a great job of like lifestyle marketing on social media.
They do. Yeah.
So those kinds of things are, to your point, they're awesome. You the opportunity to, again, do those consistently and have a plan in place for them, I think is
It is.
paramount to
It
that.
is. Some people are just natural at it and they can just like jump on and do whatever. But even the two you just named, like I know for a fact they have a plan, right?
Yeah.
And I've never actually sat and talked to them, but I see what they're producing and I can tell they have a plan behind it. So that's important.
Yeah. So you that's one of those things, again, being consistent about it. Day 1, week 1, month 1, you're not going to have a bunch of followers and you may not have the engagement you want. But again, time on task over time, you'll start getting more interaction and more engagement.
Yeah.
People have to see you showing up. I say the universe has to see you showing up for yourself. If that happens, then all of a sudden you start getting back um, more and more business
It's about
opportunities.
trust. You know, we talk about, okay, who's your sphere, and everybody's like, it's people who that know you, like you, and trust you.
Yeah,
And I half jokingly but seriously talk about, well, yeah, they do. They know, like, and trust you. They'll trust you to watch their kids. They'll trust you to watch their pets. But they won't trust you to do their real estate activities
yeah,
unless they see you doing the real estate activities, and that's the important part. Why we're on social media, I don't know if this directly ties in, but I think it sort of kind of does. I mentioned YouTube earlier.
yeah.
I wanted to touch on that because I learned something interesting recently that I was not aware of, and that is YouTube is the number one search place for home buyers.
No,
And that shocked me because my thought would have been Zillow, right?
yeah,
And don't get me wrong, I think a lot of people go to Zillow, probably just about everybody at some point in that process. But what I learned was the reason YouTube has become number one is home tours.
yeah,
And a home tour is going to be a 10 to 12-minute type video, which is great for YouTube. YouTube likes those longer format videos, but we're talking about social media. So here's the cool thing: you can take a 12-minute video for YouTube that you're shooting, and it can be raw. Don't get out of like. Don't get in your head is where I was going for. Don't get in your head. Just go shoot the video, and it is what it is. You are who you are, right? Don't get into professional production and a ton of edits, is my opinion.
yeah.
We're doing this video here. We're not doing a bunch of edits. I can
No,
tell you that now. But the cool thing is there's AI technology out there now that you can take that 12-minute video and it'll chop it up into a bunch of little 30-second or 1-minute videos that you can just plug into TikTok and Instagram or wherever your platform is. That there's your social media content,
yeah,
right? The fact that home tours is the number one search now,
yeah,
pretty much across every platform, but YouTube taking the number one spot. Um, what I would say is that if we talked about open houses,
yeah,
after hearing this, and I've done a little research on this just to fact check it basically, and it's true. I think if I'm a new agent, if I'm a veteran agent or somewhere in between, whatever it is, I think I'm going to plan to do a home tour at least once or twice a week.
yeah.
Get that on YouTube, get some simple content out of it.
Yeah, and to your point, I think that's going to help you be a better agent. You're going to learn the market that way as well, naturally, organically. I tell agents that when you're working with a buyer and you're out there doing 10, 15 home tours, maybe before you write that offer, you've done a market analysis
Mhm.
organically by seeing homes in that market and how they compare.
Yeah.
And also on YouTube, what I like about it too, when we talk about lifestyle, go out and do if you want to build clients in a certain area, let's say downtown Annapolis, Eastport, go out and do some lifestyle video of downtown Annapolis, put it on YouTube, make sure you have the right sort of call to actions within there, because out of state people that are looking for like come to the boat show or whatever, they might come across your video. The lifestyle thing, we always sometimes forget to sell the lifestyle along with the house.
That's a great point.
And
Yeah.
and the point about just
Lifestyle,
yeah,
communities,
yeah,
amenities of communities, whatever, those
yeah.
kind of things. Be the expert.
Be the expert.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you see like homes.com try to do it and they're failing. I see that a lot of the communities have gone in and seen them fail across what they're delivering on their platform, but there's no local expert like the local expert, the local realtor on the
Yeah.
ground that knows the neighborhoods. We can get back to basics. If we can inform the clients about what's going on in the communities and neighborhoods, that's great.
Yeah.
And maybe kind of like to wrap up before we finish, we talk about one more thing because we could go on and on about this, but niche marketing, right?
Yeah.
And let's hit a couple niche markets around here. I always like to say, drill down and you don't have to be the expert about something, but have a specialty per se.
Mhm.
And niche marketing, I talk about like the long tail of marketing. You don't want to compete up here. Like, hey, if you're thinking about buying a house in Maryland or selling or investing, you're going to lose out all day long to like the Zillows and the big players on the stuff. But if you can like niche market down here, like if you're PCSing from out of state and you want to know about Canyard Springs or something like that, golden,
Yeah.
right? Because there's a lot of military PCSing or Diddy moves into our area. Canyard Springs is a great community for them, but if you can kind of get there on that long tail. But if you're working with military, right, we've got a program that you're launching.
Mhm.
You might want to talk a little bit about that and niche marketing to me.
Yeah. I think, Veterans Home Advantage program is a site. You can go check it out, veteranshomeadvantage.com. So just again, taking care of serving those who serve us, right? And so trying to give back to the military community in many different ways. So today won't be about that, but go check out the website. But yeah, I think that niche marketing, there's many good reasons to do something like that. But one of the things that I think really comes from that is it allows you as an agent to really focus and hone your skills in one specific area. And I think what comes from that is you actually broaden your skills across all areas of real estate, right? Because if you become a master at the home flipper, the investor that wants to buy and flip properties, or the investor that wants to buy and hold properties, because believe it or not, they're both different in many different ways.
Sure, yeah.
So understanding that, but I think when you start going down that essentially rabbit hole and learning more and mastering that and eventually becoming an expert, it's going to broaden your skills across real estate in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you can't lose. And again, when we talk about AI, which we're going to plug in every video, we're going to get that dropped in there. But if you're an expert in an area or trying to be an expert in an area and you're creating content around that, AI is going to find you.
Yeah.
It's not going to find that generic, I want to buy a home in Maryland.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess like to sort of paraphrase, like if your niche marketing is great, right? Because it separates yourself. It allows you to be that sort of local expert again in a specific demographic or whatever it might be. But yeah, to your point, if you're going to be working with active duty or prior service veterans, understand what PCS moves are, or Diddy moves, understand that the challenges that they face when they're relocating their families, but understand products that might be out there that's available to them, understand the VA loan process, commit to mastery, I guess is what I'm saying on that. If to your point, if you're going to work with investors, if they're flippers, make sure you understand 1031 exchanges. If you're working with buy and hold investors, make sure you have property management companies lined up. Make sure you understand the new laws around tenants, that kind of thing. So commit to mastery. So set yourself up to be truly an expert, and then give that information back. Be of value, come from contribution to those markets. And if people see that you have value and that what your value proposition is within those niche markets, they're more likely to use you.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then I'm going to tie that back into the social media piece. It's I've heard it many different times from many different real estate coaches, but and even people like Gary Vee that are they're out there. The person that gives the most free educational content is the person that wins.
Yeah.
So be the expert and then share it.
Yeah.
Right. Put it on social media, whatever your platform is. Again, I think YouTube's a great place to be, but I think you can do that across multiple platforms.
Yeah. Come from contribution and be an educator, be a consultant, but give back. And then again, then people will feel the need to give back to you.
Yep.
So again, kind of to summarize, and I just want to say this to anyone, if you're out there, if you're struggling, reach out to us. We can help put you in contact with someone that can help formalize, myself or someone else, a business plan, strategic action plan. Let's get something, a blueprint in place, figure out what those 5 plates that you might be spinning are, make sure you have a purpose, you're consistent about it. Obviously, consistency is the theme that's kind of flown through this entire conversation, but any final thoughts to end on?
Yeah, we could go on for hours, but no, I think you already said it. But I think, again, key to success is consistency, but systems have to be there. Systems, then consistency. So you need to sit down and figure this out. And again, it doesn't matter where you are in your real estate career, new or been in for 30 years. These markets change constantly. So I think I'd want to end on that note of get your systems together, sit down. This is not quick. It's not a 2-minute process. Sit down for an hour or 2 or 3 or whatever and really map that out. Use AI, lean into AI. If you're using that, talk to it, type to it, however you're doing it. It knows who you are, right? So if you're already using AI knows who you are.
Yeah.
It can help you literally build the system, and then you just need consistency behind that.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're even struggling to do that, reach out to me. I'll put my Calendly link down below wherever we post this.
Yep.
Set up a business meeting with me, and I'll be more than happy, regardless of wherever you're at.
Yeah.
And I guess there was one final thought that I had that just escaped me on that, but it's obviously about plan your work and work your plan. I know that's cliche, but the rub is everyone has great ideas. Everyone has these enormous goals and stuff like that, but implementation's everything.
It is.
And that's where the secret shows up. Doing the work, There's a little bit of discipline involved there. I know people don't like to hear that, but you have to be disciplined on your time blocking and the consistency part of it, because if you are, the results will show up.
Yeah.
We see it all the time.
Yeah, and I did a post recently about motivation, and motivation is sometimes temporary,
Yes.
right? So the system will always outperform a skill.
Yep.
So no matter what you're skilled at, like if the lesser skilled person, it's proper English, they're gonna, if they have great systems, they're gonna outperform the skilled person every day.
Absolutely right.
So
Yep. Intestinal fortitude, hard work trumps talent. When talent doesn't work hard, same thing is what Doug just said. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you very much for your time. Until next time, and we'll be releasing episode 2 here shortly, and then we'll have something on tap for episode 3.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Take care, guys.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Real Estate Matters. Thanks for tuning in. Here at Douglas Realty, we think that every real estate agent out there deserves to feel confident and in control of their own business. That's why we provide tools like this podcast to help agents elevate their career to the next level. Because at our brokerage, we believe that if you focus on the agent, success will follow. Are you ready to forge your own path? Reach out to Douglas Realty today to get started.